The Spoken Token is a proud member of the Pod Studio One podcast network.
Hello, everyone, and welcome into the Spoken Token. This is going to be expansion number 9. So, expansion episode number 9. This is your host, Larry Neal, and I just wanted to sit down and do a couple of quick notes for you. I know that I have the second half of my first ever top 10 list, and that is ready to go. But I did feel like it was really important to get this note in here. This one is a little bit more poignant or prescient for the time. And as of today's date, which is June the 9th, 2020, just this past weekend, I attended my first virtual board game convention. And that's what I want to talk about today, just a little bit. And of course, it was Renegade's Virtual Convention 2020, or RenCon as they call it. First and foremost, I had a fantastic time. I didn't take time off from work, but I set time aside just like I normally do with a convention. And let me say this up front, with so many of our publishers and some of our other board game entities looking to do virtual conventions, make the time to go. If you're listening to this, if you're one of our regular listeners or you love board games, even if you're new to listening to us, get to one of these virtual conventions. You get to do it from home. You get to set your environment. You get your own food. You've got your own lodging. Of course, there is no travel, just wherever your computer is. Give it a serious go. Look over the events that they have. Get involved. Play the games that you can play. If they have something set up like Renegade did with virtually going over on Tabletopia, which I'll get to in a bit, by all means, take advantage of that. You will get out of it what you put into it. I'll tell you a quick story, and then we'll get into just a few things, just recapping the weekend. When I woke up Sunday, so their convention was this past weekend from Friday through Sunday. When my feet hit the floor Sunday morning, and I immediately hopped up and walked up front to open the blinds in my apartment. And when I got to the front, just walking up the short hall, I had such a huge grin on my face. And I remember through the fog of being sleepy and knowing I needed to get logged in so I could get to another panel, I questioned myself. I'm like, what am I grinning for? And I completely got sidetracked. I didn't open my blinds. I stood there in a minute in my living room trying to figure out, and then it hit me. I had the feeling in just, the pit of my stomach or whatever. I was so relaxed. And I had the very same feeling that I have typically on days 2 and 3 of conventions that I've been to. I was so relaxed. I'd had so much fun. And there was the sense that I had been to a board game convention, which I love to do. And I was happy about it. And the smile was it just came out. It was automatic because that's what I was feeling. That's how powerful the experience can be for everyone. Of course, what gets you there may be different from my experience, but it's possible and it's so worthy. Another quick thing I want to say here up front, the beautiful thing about all of these conventions, at least the ones that I'm aware of, they're being hosted just like always by the industry, by board gamers, by our publishers, by the bodies that normally do it. I know Origins is going to go online. We've got, I think Dice Tower is going to do some things also in conjunction with Board Game Geek. So we absolutely want to support that because as a gamer, we're supporting us, of course, when we're talking about tabletop games, when we're talking about the hobby tabletop board game industry. So now, just a few more quick points. A lot of things that they set up for Renegade Con, and you can look those things up. I believe the itinerary is still online, or you can find it. Everything that they recorded from the panels and all of the information where they had industry designers and people and the leadership there within Renegade come and talk to us and talk with us on the panels. All of those things are being released on Renegade's Twitch channel. So by all means, you can still catch them. Think the different step of going live, of signing up for it. They did it through Eventbrite. Again, I can't say enough, where you got your badge and you got your tickets. And of course it was free, but I went through the motions. I did all of those things. I went and I signed on, I got my tickets, I registered for the things that I wanted to do. And like I said earlier, just a moment ago, I got out of it what I put into it. But anyway, moving forward, getting back to it, they put these things out there for us. They set it up. That information is very good information. Some of those panels I would have missed. And now that it's digital, I'll be able to go back because it's still a convention after all. So things are scheduled concurrently. So there will be some things that you miss. But just the value that we have there now, that we have that information out there, it was recorded. It's tremendous. It is of tremendous value. Being able to go and play demo games on Tabletopia, which is the particular setup that Renegade used this past weekend, was phenomenal. If you listen to us any amount of time, you know how I feel about the electronic piece when it comes to electronic versus the actual board game. It did not change my mind. And I can honestly say that I've never thought that it was without merit in terms of talking about electronic gaming, but I prefer the tactile nature of being able to physically sit across the table from someone and to be able to physically pick up the pieces and to physically move them. And you can't approximate that. You're giving the experience of the game, but the digital gaming doesn't touch the rest of what I personally love about board gaming. That's never going to change, guys. I'm never going to come off of that. But I've never once just dismissed the electronic gaming. I've just always said, hey, it's not really for me. While it is still not my go-to, and I can honestly say that, now having spent a weekend at a convention, I got to spend quite a few hours on Saturday prior to going to my normal work job, playing with my good friend Dave. I think we played 2 or 3 games. It is worth the option. It is worth the effort. It is a viable alternative. You've got a game group, you move across the country or across the state lines or even across town now during some of these things, still with everyone being still sheltering in place or things are slowly opening back up. It's a viable option. And I had a good time. I mean, in terms of learning games, being able to play them, move them around, it was a very enjoyable experience. So I came away from that being extremely impressed. Another kudos in the cap, or just something to look out for. This wasn't a happenstance. Their games didn't just happen to be on Tabletopia. Renegade went out of their way to set this up and make sure that this was a part of the program. They did the same thing with Roll20. I didn't get a chance to do any of the RPGs, but I know that was in place. And that is tremendous. Again, these things are tremendous. Being able to go from Twitch and then over onto Discord, which I do want to say something about Discord. I was on Discord maybe just a few weeks ago, dealing with some other things, some other entities that I deal with over in the electronics games forum, and also just trying to get into it to see what it's all about. And I've been struck by the platform. It has a bit of a steep learning curve, but it's such a welcoming and fun place once you get in there and get to moving around. And I had just been lamenting the fact that there weren't any major board game presence on Discord. I know it's electronic, it's not our thing, but sometimes we want to just talk. Well, Renegade ran their convention through Discord, and it's fantastic. And as far as I know, they're maintaining the presence. So go out there and look for them. If you're already on Discord, if you're over on their site, just go out to their site and look for their Discord channel and join it. There's still some things going on. Literally, as I was getting ready to just put my thoughts down here briefly, there's still activity. People are still talking about things about the convention. People are still talking about the Renegade games, the game channels. If you know anything about Discord on the servers, you can build the channels out to whichever topic. Well, they did that based on certain games and certain properties. Those are still buzzing with activity where people are still talking. So that's a tremendous thing, guys. That is a tremendous resource and opportunity to connect with other gamers and play games. Hop over to Tabletopia or whatever your system is of choice, and you can sit there in a place like that and get that together or meet new people. The electronic component of this, since this had to be, of course, a virtual convention from the aspect of we didn't go to it, no one actually attended it, has to be on point. And I really believe that the high bar has been set, or a good high bar has been set. And I'm looking forward to what BGG and the Dice Tower and Origins and Gamma and everyone else has set for us, because now we've seen what it can be. It was engaging. It was very fun. It was informative. We got some spoilers, some new game reveals. People were talking about meeting old friends that they weren't expecting to see at a con that was virtual, that they normally see at physical cons, and just those connections. Everything about board gaming that is just phenomenal and fantastic and that we love, it's there. It is there. So yes, I was sitting here where I'm sitting now at my own desk in my own office, looking at my own board game collection as I played on the monitor or talked about them. But that really, other than that, that's the only difference. So again, big, huge shout out to Renegade. Put on just a fantastic, I think, convention. Like I said, again, I really and truly believe it is you will get out of it what you put into it. So just set aside enough time, take it serious, get involved. When you see things on the schedule that you like, sign up for them. When you see panels that you think are interesting and you want to attend, by all means do so. Hop in the chat, ask your questions, look at the other questions that are being asked and listen to what's going on. There's so much value here. And I'm really excited for everyone else for this summer, like I said, for the rest of this summer. Whereas things were a little sad, even though I wasn't going to be able to attend Origins or Gen Con or Essen this year myself physically, they were going to happen. So I was looking forward to sitting here and watching the news and looking at the coverage from the other content creators here in the hobby tabletop board game world and seeing those things firsthand. And then, of course, Alex and I will get together and do our show and we'll talk about it. So there was a little bit of sadness that those things were canceled. And I agree, though, that they should be, because safety needs to be first and foremost in those instances. But now there is just an almost unbridled giddiness on my part personally, because now we'll get a chance to attend them as never before for those of us who weren't going to be able to make it physically or haven't been physically. And it's not going to be a second-rate experience. I'm declaring it now. Based on what I just experienced, it is not going to be a second-rate experience. It's going to be a fantastic experience. So get ready to go to conventions. And I guess we did a little bit of conventional wisdom this time for this particular show. And I'm going to jump out of the way now and let you get back to your day. I just wanted to get something out. And the next opportunity that I will get 4 through 1 of my previous expansion up so that we can finish off that top 10 list. But I just wanted to drop a quick note and give some quick thoughts on how very exciting and how wonderful it was to attend a virtual convention. My first, certainly not my last. And if you're listening to me and if you get a chance, you should do it too. I don't think you'll be disappointed. So for the Spoken Token, this is Larry Neal saying keep communicating and keep playing.
This has been the Spoken Token Podcast. If you'd like to interact with us, please contact us through email at thespokentokenpodcast@gmail.com, on Instagram at The Spoken Token Podcast, on Twitter at The Spoken Token, or on Facebook at The Spoken Token Podcast. And you can reach us through our BGG Guild, number 2656.
You are listening to a Pod Studio One Podcast Network podcast. Find more great podcasts at www.podstudio1.com.